Inside the Game, back live across your airwaves, whether you're watching on Roku, YouTube, wherever, or maybe you're waiting in line for 7 days to get on your flight. You know, who knows? Who knows what's going on? But wherever you are today in the U.S., welcome in to Inside the Game. Nate Wangler back alongside Ryan Glinsky. Ryan, what's going on, my man?
Not much, just chilling. Watched a really good movie last night, and yeah, looking forward
War Machine.
to today.
Yeah, War Machine. That's a classic. You went back for that one. Was that you told me how did you stumble across it? Did you just how did you come across War Machine again?
So I have actually seen a couple TikTok clips. I'm like, oh, it looks like a good movie. So then I was like, I just went on Netflix and I was like, okay, it's like 8:30. I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it for like an hour or so, then go to bed, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden I get to like 30 minutes and I'm like, oh my God, this is really good. I got to stay up for the whole thing now. And I got to 11:15, 11:30, or 11:15, I think is when it ended. But no, totally worth it. I just saw a couple of clips on YouTube or on TikTok and I was like, this looks like a pretty good movie. And I was like, if I ever come across it, I'd love to watch it. And then I came across and watched it.
I have never. It is amazing how TikTok is single-handedly a lot of times brings back one of two things. It's either movies or music, like certain songs. And I got to wonder, like, artists who are like, they made their hit back in like the 70s or the 80s, watching it be brought back to life by freaking TikTok has to be the craziest thing ever, especially if they're still alive, like on a boat somewhere. I imagine like in Mexico or like somewhere else in their like luxurious home because they're retired. And then they're just like making a bunch of money again because they're like, this freaking app made a remix of my song or like put my movie clips out there. But yeah, no, that's a classic right there. I'm trying to. There's a lot of good people in there. Alan Richardson, who's been in the news for fighting his neighbor for telling him to slow down on his dirt bike or whatever the hell it was. There's a lot of good actors though in that one. They definitely had a good cast.
And the funny thing for War Machine is I don't know who any of the guys' names are because they all just go by numbers or they're like, wow, it's my brother or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and then I don't know if you follow him or you know who he is, but okay, Shrock. I understand Buenos
right out of the
Dias. I
gate.
do not understand Buenos Dias. I don't even know what the other one. Bon Hamem, I guess. I don't know what any of that means. I can get you Buenos Dias. I can't get you the other two. But anyway, there's a rap. I don't know if you know who the rapper is, T Wayne, but he created one song called "First Let Me Hop Out the Porsche." This song was made in sixth grade.
Yes.
Sixth grade.
Yeah.
But I've started to see him come up on TikTok, and I'm like, this guy's weird. And he goes, and his videos always start with, you want to see what a one-hit wonder does with his money? And it just like his amazing house. And he's like, I'm the one-hit wonder who actually did smart stuff with his money. And he like goes to like a day in his life and stuff. And it's crazy how one popular song for like 2 months can make you that famous and that rich. Like, it's just crazy to me, which means we just need one viral clip here at the National Soccer Network, and then all the money's just going to start flowing in.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Well, and it especially if you don't get lottery winner syndrome and you do something with the money you do make, it's crazy how long you can actually make that last and like maybe like retire on it or do something along those lines as opposed to blowing through all of it. Like I swear the majority of people do whenever they hit it big like that. So no, that's funny. But getting into our conversation here in hour number one.
Same thing. Good morning in Spanish and Portuguese. Well, wish Bianca was tuning into the show right now. She could have told me that immediately.
Yeah, she would have been. She would have been more able to. If we can bring her on to translate. Yeah, exactly. Well, she was born in Brazil, and she's talked about that before too. And it's always interesting to get her perspective, especially on the soccer stuff when we talk about this, because obviously it's different there. You know, people are playing all over the place, but getting into what we wanted to talk about here on hour number one, it's funny because I worked in the meteorite conversation. I'm sure you've probably seen all the meteorites that are hitting all over the U.S. My question was if there was one like athlete, GM, coach, someone that we were to have address the aliens upon their arrival, who would it be? And I mean, there's a couple of good options there. You know,
Iguodala.
LeBron, Messi, Roger Goodell, Iguodala with the space
Give me
beam pointed towards
Iguodala.
us.
No. Send in Adam Silver because he probably looks like them anyway. Like the aliens, he looks like an alien. So send in Adam
Yep.
Silver because he already looks
Yep.
like an alien. So that's where I would
Yeah.
go. That's who I would
I was
send.
thinking either that or Dennis Rodman, because I mean Dennis
Dennis
Rodman
Rodman would be a
already
good
has a
one.
history of getting together with like our world's dictators, like Kim
Hmm?
Jong Un for whatever reason loves Dennis Rodman, hates the rest of us, but man, that the multicolored haired guy, he loves him. So I would, yeah, Dennis would be another good option. But let's talk a little bit about soccer, huh? Shall we? Let's get into this a little bit in hour number 1. A big welcome back in to everyone joining us here for 257. This storyline to open things is fascinating to me, and it was something we speculated about earlier a while ago, but it's something that has now very clearly come to the forefront, and now we understand it a lot better. But Kylian Mbappe, the concern has been his knee. He's been missing stretches of games. He's not been completely healthy this year, and I think that the fans, the supporters started to really realize it when he started to miss extended periods of time. Had his knee misdiagnosed. They misdiagnosed exactly what he needed in order to get better. Staff performed an MRI scan on the wrong leg back in December. When no problem was found after the scan of his uninjured right knee, the 27-year-old featured in 3 games for Madrid before the mistake was realized and rectified. And I'm going to guess probably might have hurt it a little bit more in that stretch of time playing on it, because obviously when you misdiagnose it, you just continue playing on the injury, it's only going to get worse. And so it became more of a nagging injury. He's missed more time, and it sidelined him for longer. My takeaway on this is very simple. You had one job. And if you are as highly paid and if you are as entrusted by a club like this to do the job of making sure that the star player can be able to not only get back to the pitch in a timely manner, but be able to stay out there and maintain his health, not just for the club's sake, but also for the country's sake when you talk about the World Cup. Not that that's on the Madrid medical staff's mind, but it's all very important. You realize the implications of a star player not being on the pitch. You had one job. And I would be surprised to see if there wasn't some sort of repercussions. I'm never going to call for someone to lose their job. That's not who I am. I don't believe in that. But I do definitely think that there's some serious repercussions on the way. And just a reminder, even people who make a ton of money, even doctors can make mistakes. It's just fascinating to me, Ryan, that it came in this scenario, because if it's Kylian Mbappe, I'm checking all different angles. If there's even a hint that there is something that's missing or something we haven't checked, or if we're running him through tests and he's like, that doesn't feel right. I don't care if it takes twice as long. I don't care if it takes days, weeks. We are getting this right the first time around. And so that ultimately raises the question, was there pressure put on their shoulders? Were they pushed to believe certain things? Was it forced or moved along quicker than what it should have been? There's a potential for that too. I mean, let's not pretend like clubs haven't been like, you know what, especially with concussions in the past, we think about football. Whatever, you're fine, get back out there. Like one of those situations, because obviously Mbappe being on the pitch changes everything for the club. So, I think it sucks for Kylian Mbappe, but there are so many questions around this, because I refuse to believe that paid professionals, especially at that highest level, who are looking at one of the greatest players the world has to offer in Kylian Mbappe, somehow got it wrong. Somehow did not go through all the different checks and balances and ABCs and 1, 2, 3s to make damn sure that Kylian Mbappe was completely healthy and ready to go. That's weird to me. It's very weird.
Yeah, I agree. I can't say I've ever heard of a superstar misdiagnosed like this. Like, have you ever seen LeBron misdiagnosed with an injury? You ever see
no.
like someone like Jason Tatum? No, it's weird because you're right. This is Real Madrid's cash cow. Why do people come to see Real Madrid games? For Kylian Mbappe. Why do people go to France games to see Mbappe? He's one of the best players, if not the best player in the world, and could maybe go down in history depending on on how many things he wins and if he continues to play at a really, really high level. But how do you mess this up? Like, it's impossible to misdiagnose an injury of Mbappe's stature, and to think like Real Madrid has been a mess, I think, in the last couple of years, just with the amount of superstars they have, maybe not having the best of management. I think really ever since 2020, they've been a mess with Florentino Perez trying to start up the Super
Yeah.
League, but that's neither here nor there. We'll get into that. But
Yeah.
I mean, you just worsened the injury. And then Mbappe's kind of out there is like declining it, like, oh, these are all just rumors. It's all false, like this, and that. My knee's perfectly
Yeah.
fine. But you're telling me as a doctor, which I imagine this doctor's then going to be fired because this guy costs the club millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, not just because of the transfer fee that they had to get him to bring him here, and not only his contract, but think about all the money in terms of ticket revenue and jersey sales, and they can hike up their prices no matter what because Mbappe's out there.
Yeah.
Kind of just like what Mount Pleasant's doing right now. If you look at if you were to schedule a hotel for the weekend of October 17th right now, everything's like 3 times the amount. Why? Because they're playing Western at home in a football game. So there's a reason what that is. So Real Madrid can hike up their prices with Mbappe being there. And if Mbappe's hurt, again, Real Madrid will still pull a crowd no matter if he's out there or not. It's Los Blancos. But some people might just wanted to go to see Mbappe play. Like some of my buddies the other day wanted to go to the Lakers-Pistons game just to see LeBron play. And that's a pull. And I just don't. I'm like at a loss for words for this because how in the world do you test the wrong? How do you test the wrong knee? Like, wouldn't you have checked both knees? Like, and if you're hurt, don't you kind of like tell the doctor where it hurts? Like, like, hey, Kylian, where's the pain at? It's in this knee. Nah, let me check the other knee. That makes 0 sense to me whatsoever. Like, Kylian probably went into the physio room and was like, yeah, doc, this knee hurts.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me check the other knee. Hey, doc, you gonna check the other one, the one that actually hurts?
Yeah.
No. We didn't see anything in this one. You go back out there and play. But then you just think of, is this going to hurt his career, his playing career at some point? Because you played on an injured knee, and we know in sports, in any sport, basketball, football, hockey, baseball, like. Knees are a very important. I don't want to say like I guess bone. Like I don't know what it would be considered a bone. I guess because you got to run in every single sport, and if you don't have your knees, you're not running anywhere. So yeah, it just I don't know, Nate. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Was there pressure put on these doctors' shoulders to move this process along?
It's a good question.
All the question marks we've brought up about Madrid and the ownership and how they have botched a lot of things and how they've made poor decisions and the history that we've run through a couple of times. Is it just a coincidence that someone like Kylian Mbappe going in to get treatment gets mistreatment, doesn't get it done correctly, and then ends up further hurting himself? I don't know. I mean, it's not always the right thing to connect those dots, but I think there may be something there. And again, the other side of this, it makes me think if they're looking at the wrong knee, was Kylian Mbappe completely honest about what was going on with him? Like,
good question.
Who was communicating what with the doctors? Like there is it's like a horrible game of telephone. Like someone said something along the lines that wasn't correct and then they misdiagnosed it. It's hard for me to just chalk this up as just a simple mistake and not immediately go to conspiracies, which is tough because I know I mentioned meteorites to open the show, and I think it's just funny because they are actually meteorites. Like these are not something big or more menacing than this. We know this because people have confirmed this with not just eyesight reportings, but also just finding pieces of the rocks that have actually come through the atmosphere at 35,000 miles an hour. But you know what people love to do? They like to make a conspiracy out of everything. And it's hard to look at those people and go, hey, don't do that, because sometimes the conspiracy theorists are right. Sometimes they actually get out ahead of things and you're like, wow, actually, you got a point there. It's tough to not make a conspiracy out of this exact moment with Mbappe because it just the simple practice of how do you not know, number one, what knee it is? Because when you talk about trainers, typically what they'll do is they'll feel the area, right? They'll feel both your knees. They'll feel how they compare. They'll feel all of these things, all the different tests and things they run through. How were they not prepared? How did they not understand just at a very simple level how to go about fixing this, it is hard to imagine. There's just nothing that really lines up about it to me. That's the hard part.
You raise a lot of good questions. Is Mbappe honest as well? Who's at fault here? I think
Yeah.
potentially both. We don't obviously know the conversations that happen in house. What we never do
Right.
unless we somehow had a Real Madrid insider. But we don't
Yeah.
here at the National Soccer Network. If hey, you're a Real Madrid insider out there and you're listening to
Right.
the show, want to help us out a little bit, we're more than welcome to bring you on and we can talk about this. But I think
Yeah.
I think of the best point that you bring up was Mbappe honest? I think that is the
Yeah.
most important one because you think about what happened with Real Madrid last year. They did not win La Liga. They lost to Barcelona, and in an unbelievable game that I watched happen at Camp Nou on TV last year, like in late or early May, and then they get knocked out of the
Yeah.
Champions League early to Arsenal, 4-1, something like that on aggregate, and I was listening to the Gareth Bale on the Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, Roy Keane podcast. I forget what the name. I think it's called The Overlap. And Bale talked about when you're at Real Madrid and the Champions League comes around, it's a cult-like feeling. Like the president, the
Yeah.
higher ups, the owners, they are in the team hotel with you, giving you pep talks before the game. And he's like, I have never once seen this happen anywhere else in the world. Not a single team has done this. And to think that because again, if you do not win a trophy at Real Madrid in a season, that is the utmost failure you could ever have. Like you could, if
Yeah.
you don't win anything, like because La Liga is considered a weaker league compared to like the Premier League and all that stuff. Because Bale even said himself, he's like half the league. We know we're gonna win.
Yeah.
It's just by a matter of how much. So everything, all the importance comes down to the Champions League, and they failed in the Champions League. I know they won it a couple years ago, but that doesn't matter. You could win it 2 years ago. You could win it 1 year, and you fail to make even like the semifinals the next year. You're fired, regardless of what
Yeah.
you did the year before. That's the type of place.
Right.
And it feels, Nate, like this club is under a lot of pressure for what happened last year and the last couple of years, and even
Yeah.
what's going on this year. Like, luckily for them, they battered City at 3-0 or whatever it was in the first leg and didn't have to look back because they had a bad showing in the Champions League group stage or table phase this season. They didn't even make the round of 16 by themselves. They had to play in the play-in game to even get to the round of 16. So there is a lot of pressure, I think, on this club. And I think either maybe it was a joint agreement or something with Mbappe. Maybe he lied. Maybe the doctor lied. Or maybe they both were like, okay, you have an injury, but you can still play on it technically. We know the risks, but you know what? At the same time, we kind of need you to play, Kylian. And I don't know. I would like to be a fly on the wall in the physio room in Los Blancos.
I don't know how this story develops, and I think it is developing as we speak. And so we might still have updates on this. I do think it is interesting, though. I guess there was one detail that I was missing, and that was, recently the club's former nutritionist, Itziar Gonzalez, I think is how you pronounce her name. I'm not exactly certain, but she accused the Spanish giant in Madrid of, quote, prescribing supplements based on free ChatGPT results. So according to what she's saying in the article that I'm reading, and again, this is via the Daily Mail, apparently that they have been using the free version of ChatGPT to give them medical recommendations on how to deal with players.
How real is that actually? Like,
it's on the Daily Mail. So I don't know. I mean, this is coming from her, and she says, she's like, they're going to do everything they can to embarrass me and make me look like I'm talking nonsense. But I promise you, this is what they're doing there. So is this a product of Real Madrid taking shortcuts and trying to cut back on costs? I don't know, but you don't use ChatGPT to address an injury.
Are we sure this is real and not the former nutritionist is just trying to badmouth the club? Like,
I don't know.
I find that hard to believe that they are using that doctors at one of the biggest clubs, if not the biggest club in the world, is using ChatGPT to prescribe medications. I don't buy that. I
Yeah.
don't buy that.
I know. She says, quote, "I've said it before because it's very easy to humiliate me to protect the people who are friends that are working there. Quote, the worst part is that they're still here. Although I don't know what's worse, this or the fact that they prescribe supplements based on free chat GPT results. Um, I, I-
Put it
yeah,
on
like I
social
said,
media, see
I
what
don't,
the people think.
I don't know.
Because I do
I don't
not
know if
buy
that
this
rings
at
true, but
all.
it seems unlikely, but hey, man, it's 2026. I guess expect the unexpected, right? So I don't know. So we'll see what comes of this. It's not the end of this saga for sure. For sure. Everybody wants answers, and again, it just doesn't make sense to me. But let's talk a little bit more on the other end. We got some more uniforms, some more Nike kits that have been released. I think the gap between Nike and Adidas keeps getting wider and wider. We're also going to talk about Landon Donovan and some harsh critiques he had for one Noah Kai Banks. All that and more coming up. First, FC Bayern summer soccer camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, fostering football excellence across North America, open to boys and girls of all skill levels. FC Bayern camps deliver elite training inspired by FC Bayern Munich's world-class philosophy. Select your city and start a promising soccer path. And right now, save $30 on registration by using promo code BayernNSN30. Again, that's BayernNSN30. Or scan the QR code on your screen. Learn more at FCBayernYouth.com.
So the dream behind Irene's was simply to be a place where the community could come and gather. This is my hometown, we're raising our family here, and we just want to be a space where people can come together as a community and share a great meal. We've got golf simulators, we got pinball, live music, trivia nights, but we also have fresh, always homemade, locally sourced food, and we serve it with a sense of Gemütlichkeit. This is a German word that conveys a sense of warmth and coziness and belonging. We're excited to show off how we're growing and that this is the place to be.
Not gonna lie, one of those screens would be pretty cool to like pot like Fortnite up on or something like that. I would be all for that. That'd be a pretty cool experience, or anything like, NCAA. I need a college basketball game, by the way. Now that we have college football,
they're trying to make it. I think so.
Are they really? Are they okay? All right. It would be hard because I know there's only again, like I said, 8 million Division I colleges out there. So I don't know,
You'd probably
how
have to
they.
cut a
But
lot.
yeah, but they did include Michigan in the updated the 2K26. You can play for Michigan in your My Career, so that's fun. I don't ever remember that being the case. But moving along with our soccer conversation here in hour number 1, I know we took a look at the Adidas kits yesterday. I know, Ryan, you put a video out on social media talking about your top 5 faves. I know I said I really like the Aztec design with Mexico, but we got some Nike kits to talk about as well.
Yeah, so for the people who were like, well, this one's better. Dude, I said Adidas edition. I didn't do the Nike ones. My bad. And I won't lie, I did put a couple Nike ones in the Adidas ones yesterday, so that's my fault. But so, this is the first batch that I have. And I got to say early on, I think the Nike ones are better. I'm an Adidas guy myself, just because I think
Really?
their shoes are wider, and I have a wider foot, so
Yeah.
and Nike runs narrower, more narrow. But
It's fair.
yeah,
It's fair.
so I'm more of an Adidas guy. But look at these jerseys. So we got the French one. That's actually Nike. This is actually based off of the Statue of Liberty. Obviously, if you go back in the history books, they gave us the Statue of Liberty as peace, whatnot, and then obviously it was
Yep.
bronze or copper, whatever it was, and then obviously forget the exact scientific term, but maybe Schrock. He seems like a smart guy. He probably could tell us oxidizes or something. I don't know. And it turns into that green, that mint green. We got Croatia. Then again, Croatia. This is the away jerseys, by the way. Away jerseys, not the home jerseys. Away jerseys. I do have the home ones. We can get to that as well. But that just again, Croatia. There's a couple jerseys are just iconic. You got the checkerboard there. Turkey, Poland, which I love Poland's. I always like Poland's because it's super simple.
Yeah.
Then that one, I don't even know which one that one is. I think it's Nigeria. I think. We got China. And then we have Australia. And then where is the last batch? Give a couple comments on those ones real quick before I find this.
I
one.
will say the Polish one I think is really cool. Again, we talked about yesterday, like with the French uniform. Obviously, it had the collar on it, but what I liked a lot about it was the blue that was like kind of faded and shaded in certain areas. And so when you look at the Polish kit, I like how that red is. It almost kind of looks like it's like someone took like paint and they were like dumping or splattering it on. Like it's not completely, so it fades a little bit. So I really like that. And whoever is the top one all the way to the right on this screen, love that one too. That one's really
England. So
that's
Netherlands.
England. Oh wow.
Then you have Brazil. Again, they didn't have a jersey, just a jersey. They just had to be. You missed the question, Schrock. What is it called when like the Statue of Liberty? You know how it started out as copper and now it's mint green. What's that scientific term? You seem like a guy to know that. I don't know the exact term. Oxidize.
I think it is oxygenation. Oxidation. I think you're onto something there.
Okay.
Because I mean, obviously the air and water and the weather. Yep.
Gosh, that's
what happens when it's
didn't pay
exposed
attention
to the
in
elements.
science class, clearly. We got the England one. I'm blanking on that one in the top right. The left one, that's Norway. Then you have South Korea. Canada's all the way in the bottom right, so automatically should have just done that one out. But yeah, USA is the one next to Canada. That's the USA. You can see the kind of the faint pattern of the stars. And then again, I still don't know which one is next to Canada. Which one's next to England? That's on me. Man, that's all the Nike away jerseys.
I really do like the only issue is that they all kind of look the same in one way though. Like they're all very similar, just different obviously color schemes. I do like the purple. I think that's good. The only thing that throws me off, and I like the creativity of it all, don't get me wrong, is when countries wear colors that aren't a part of their flag's color scheme. Like I do like the mint green look for France. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a cool kit. However, it's just a little odd to me because I know that obviously mint green is not in their country's color scheme with their flag.
It's more of a tribute to history than anything.
Right. I know the significance of it, but that's why I liked like the Mexico uniform because it's green, and obviously we expect that from a Mexico uni. It can't not be green, but then you also have the Aztec design behind it, which I know some people were like going off about how they don't like that. But I will say on this page, if I were to pick one, it probably has to be the English kits. As much as I hate to say that red's pretty sick. I like that.
And by the way, Schrock said it is oxidation, so I was.
There you go. Hey!
So there we go. This is the home jerseys. Again, you already have the iconic Croatia jerseys. We're going with the checkered board. You got Turkey, then you got Polska, Nigeria, China, Australia, Netherlands, and that is actually Uruguay. I mentioned the collars. I don't like the collars, but again, Uruguay, Brazil, Argentina, those are in Croatia. Those are like the most iconic kits. And if you go through history, they're all kind of the same. I will say that is probably my favorite Croatia jersey that I think they've ever had at a World Cup. Not a big fan of the whole like checkered board thing or like the whole plaid thing. Like, don't get me wrong, not a huge fan of it all. But like this one, I could actually get behind. I do like them. I really do.
I gotta get that Poland kit, man. That's freaking cool. The red design on the inside with the red on the sleeves and the collar, and then just the simplicity of the white with the Polish Falcon there on the left. You know, it's interesting if you ever come
Eagle. It's not a
Grand-
Falcon. Eagle.
oh well, sorry. Polish Falcon Hall is the one I belong to here in Grand Rapids. So sorry, I think we call it Polish Falcons. The Eagle.
All
no,
right, let's just take
it's,
Nate off the
it's
screen
funny
for the
'cause
rest of the show. Ryan will be doing it solo.
But if you come to GR, you'll see that flag flying at a lot of different places across here, because I think we got a whole handful of halls, especially on the west side of the city. So yeah, that one would be cool, maybe for Pulaski Days, which is always an interesting time of year around here. So no, that I think Poland's is sick. Who's the bottom right one? Is that
Uruguay.
Uruguay? That's what it is. I like it. Again, the collar is, some people like it, some people don't, but would that be baby blue?
Yeah.
Royal blue? What kind of blue would that be? Baby blue. That's sick.
Do you like punchkis?
I do. Why don't you like them?
All right, next thing. All right, the next.
Why don't you like that? You gotta give me a straight answer one of these days.
Because they're not good. It's just fat. That's all it is. Then we got
Jelly-filled
Norway.
donut.
I can't think of that one. I'll have to go back to the website look. And then we got the United States. And then we got Canada. Yeah, which one is that? I'll have to go back to the website to look at it. But yeah, that's just the Nike home and away kits. But I think
the U.S. one continues to grow on me. I mean, like at first I looked at it and I was like, I don't know about the Where's Waldo look. The more I look at it though, I think it's cool. I think it's really fun. And again, I like the inspiration. Like, it's almost 1994-esque with the stripes, but obviously it's just going a different way. But I think they're pretty tight. I like them.
Yeah, we just gotta win in them. That's just what we
true.
have to do. We can't just have an iconic jersey and just suck in them for forever.
Norways are sick.
Let's see what that jersey was. Okay. I'm getting there.
Norways
I'm
are.
getting there. Let's see.
No, you're cool. Norway's is cool too. I like how they actually worked in like the entire flag design on the kit. It's nice when you have a simple flag design, so you can go ahead and do that. I think maybe Poland missed out on an opportunity with that, but I love what Nike did with their uniforms anyways.
That one next to Norway is South Korea.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like it. A lot of red in this tournament. Lot of red. Let's hope South Korea and Canada don't get mixed up one day and decide to wear the same Nike kit to the game, because we're screwed.
Schrock goes, Punchkis is better than donuts. There, I said it. No, they're not. I really don't even eat a whole bunch. See, I don't even eat a whole bunch of donuts anymore because the homemade bakery donut shop that I went to like in middle school and elementary school is no longer there. And donuts just don't taste the same anymore. So I just like
ruined donuts for you.
Yeah, I just don't eat donuts anymore. Like anything inside of Tim Hortons, like no. Dunkin' Donuts, no. Then there's a donut shop in Muskegon that my family, when I stayed there one time, my family
I think I know where you're talking
bought
about.
them, and they are like the greatest donuts I think I've ever had. And again, ruined donuts. So like when I eat donuts, I got a really high bar because of what I've eaten before. So like I just don't eat donuts anymore because of that reason.
I mean, I get it, man. I mean, the small, we have I think we have Susie's Donuts here in Grand Rapids. I get it, man. Like, it's when you get the homemade stuff, when you get it from some old lady down on the corner, it just doesn't taste the same when you go to Krispy Kreme. I will give you that.
Exactly.
And like the Krispy Kreme donuts, like it's like McDonald's in a lot of ways, which is like cool. McDonald's is good once in a while, but I understand that. But no, Schrock, I think it's more Ryan has a troubled history. He has a lot of trauma when it comes to donuts, and so that's why I don't think he likes Punchkis, because they're very overwhelming to him. The sensation of the fruit-filled center with all the sugar around it, and just how yummy and delicious they are. Ryan just can't take it. It's too much.
It's
too much, so he doesn't like them.
I just texted the family group chat to see what the donut shop name was in Muskegon, and then they should respond.
I think I know where.
I'm
pretty sure I know where you're talking about, but
no,
okay.
I just would say,
but
I just say that Punchkis, they're sugar, fat, and like 1,000 calories. Like, what is the point of it?
It's a
Fat
donut, dude.
Tuesday.
That's all it
I
is.
don't care. It's not good.
It's a
I'd rather get fat on
donut.
something that's actually good.
Well, I see, and what's weird is Schrock, I asked him, I'm like, do you like, this kind of fruit? He's like, yeah, of course I like that. Okay, well, you like apple pie, right?
It's like, I don't like tomatoes, but I like ketchup. It's weird.
Okay, yeah, that's a little weird, but no, okay, all right. I think you had a prune punchki once upon a time, and now all of a sudden it's just ruined it for you. I don't even think it's donuts. I think someone just gave you a disgusting one.
I get they're too glorious for some people. It's not too glorious. It's donuts have been ruined for the rest of my life. Punchkis are just trash. Punchkis are just bad.
They are.
And my
they
whole
are
family
too
will
glorious.
agree.
It is. That's a great line there, Schrock. Let's take a break when we come back here for hour number one. We got to talk about Landon Donovan going off on another young potential U.S. men's national team player in Noah Kai Banks. Ryan, there's a reason why they don't really like the guy. And I see why, because he's very much straight to the punch. He's very much direct. He very much doesn't pull any punches. And this time around, I think before he's been a little harsh this time around, I think he has a point when it comes to Noah Kai Banks. We'll talk about that more coming up next here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Join you back live here on Inside the Game, episode 257. Nate Wangler and Ryan Glinsky getting into the next part of our conversation. Punchki hater. It's too much. It's too glorious for Ryan Glinsky.
I just asked John and Bianca if they like punchkis, and they say only from one place they really like. They like the gourmets at like Blake's Cider Mill or something. They said if you buy them from Kroger, they're trash.
All right. You know what? Okay, I will give you this because I did get some gas station punchkis at Meijer when that time was around. Well, it was $1.99, okay, and times are tough out here, so I did what I had to do. Okay, so there's a pack of 4 of them, $1.99. Bought them, brought them home.
Nate's gonna say he did something weird to get those punchkis.
Did you like that? I've done a lot more for a lot less. I knew you appreciated that line. No, but they weren't very good. No, they weren't very good. I'll give you that. At least compared to the places where it's like they actually like make them and they're fresh and everything else. So I'll give you that. Plus, I hear Blake's is good. I've never been, but Neil and I got into a 10-minute conversation during a broadcast once about Blake's Cider Mill. So I guess I got to try it here at some point. But let's get into this talk about Noah Kai Banks and what's going on. Landon Donovan, some real harsh words the other day about the 19-year-old weighing his options with Germany in the U.S. men's national team. He declined the invite to be on the March roster. It's a bold call for someone that could very realistically play in a World Cup, and Landon Donovan sounded off on his podcast with Tim Howard the other day.
Standpoint, and in particular Matt Crocker, who makes these decisions. If someone does not want to play for your country, good riddance. Goodbye. And I'm not mad at him. He can make his decision, but now I don't care about you anymore. I don't care about Noah Kai. If he does not want to play for the US, totally fine. I get it. If he feels more German, I've always said, make the decision where you're passionate, whatever. Clearly, if he wanted to be a part of the US team, he's been in many camps, Tim. He's been in camps, he's been in youth camps. The Federation has been on him for a long time. And this whole notion of us like begging him to play for our country is bullshit.
Yep.
Like, dude, if you don't want to play for us, don't
No
play
problem.
for us. That's fine. And stop this game. And like, I don't know. And you know how many times we've been through this story? I'm going to tell people a name. I don't even remember his name. I think it's Jonathan Gonzalez. Maybe he was this young kid who was like playing for Monterrey. And he's like, I don't know if I want to play for the US. Guess what? Never heard of him again. And he, by the way, he didn't play for Mexico either.
Sure.
So
Sure.
just
Sure.
stop this game, dude. If
Well-
you want to play for
I can't say that he's wrong. I can't say in good faith that Landon Donovan and what he's saying right here in the message that he's trying to deliver is wrong. And listen, I understand why U.S. men's national team players have cooled on Landon Donovan, and frankly,
Probably because
don't like listening. Well, yeah, that's a little weird. Guys, don't be afraid to go bald. I mean, like, it's okay. I feel like it's a part of life. I want to do it myself. I have some other people in my life that are directing me not to do so. So out of the, the kindness of my own heart, I'm holding on to it for the meantime. But I feel myself
Hey,
going
Schrock,
that direction.
If
But
you're, if you're still in the chat, I've asked Nate to do a beard remover filter, but he just still hasn't done yet because I'd like to see Nate without a beard.
Schrock knows what beardless me looks like. I think so. Early in my college days, I don't think I was rocking what I'm rocking now. So I think Schrock has a good understanding of what that looks like. But no, Ryan, I think Landon Donovan makes a lot of good points with what he's trying to say here. And I want to tackle this really quickly from the perspective of Noah Kai Banks before I get into, why I think that Landon Donovan's right. And I'll obviously let you get your opinion in here too. But from the perspective of Noah Kai Banks, in my opinion, Ryan, it's time to wake up. Like, you are turning this down for a maybe with Germany. There is a very realistic chance that you don't crack the 11. You don't end up playing with the Germans, that you could end up not playing anywhere at all. And 4 months out from the World Cup, we need to understand that Noah Kai Banks, even at 19 years old, is in a position right now to potentially play, or he could very realistically play in a position need and in a spot on the pitch where we absolutely need more depth, more youth, more talent. He could play in the World Cup in 4 months. And yet, he's still weighing his options and trying to make his decision. You've played in our youth systems. We've developed you. We've been on you since the beginning. Well, we didn't really develop you. Obviously, you grew up in Germany, which is why we're having
But
this
he was
discussion.
in the youth camps.
But he was in the youth camps. And the USA Soccer has been on you since the beginning, and now we are giving you a golden opportunity as someone that has not even cracked 20 years old yet to be on a World Cup roster. And yet, you want to kick the ball around literally and figuratively. You want to pull USA Soccer in all of these different directions, and yet Matt Crocker, that is, as supposed to just making a decision, now wants to play these games with you. Now wants to do all this running around with you. It's like those people, and there are two different types of people, right? There are the types of people that get frustrated about something, maybe that happens out and about, or maybe someone says something and they just deal with it later. They deal with it in a separate conversation. They go, you know what, let's just see how this plays out. We don't have to overreact. And then there's the people that just immediately fly off the handle and feel like that situation has to be done with in that moment. And I think Landon Donovan is the former in that. He doesn't have any affiliation in terms of, with USA Soccer. He's out there doing his own thing with Tim Howard, and he has established himself as a guy that, again, is just not going to pull punches. He's just going to come straight after you. And again, it's hard for me to say this, Ryan, because I know that sometimes people look at Landon Donovan and they're like, this guy's being ridiculous, but I think he's got a point here.
No, I agree with you. I think he does. I was just going through a little bit of a list here of current active players that are are with the United States in the last couple of years that are actually dual nationals. Freddie Adu is actually one of them. Remember how he was supposed to be like the next greatest thing?
Yeah.
He was actually born in
Yep.
Ghana and came over here and played with us. Jermaine Jones obviously is another one because kind of the whole dual national thing became like a really big. I feel it kind of took its own kind of legs here when Jurgen Klinsmann got here because he's
Yeah.
obviously German. But again, there was dual nationals before that to begin with, even on the '94 team. John Brooks, another one, iconic goal in 2010 or 2014. Julian Green, he was actually a dual national as well. Anthony Robinson, actually born in England. Cameron Carter-Vickers, born in England. Timothy Weah could have gone elsewhere. Sergino Dest, born in the Netherlands. Balogun, which I do have something to say about Balogun. Balogun could be a starter for England. Just saying, as a striker. Just saying. Maybe talk about it another day. But if you were to go over the list of strikers for England, Balogun might be better than most of them. Let's see who else is in there. Malik Tillman's another one. Yunus Musa, another one. So there's a lot of players on this team. I mean, technically Gio Reyna was born in England, so there's that.
Yep.
But when it comes to Noah Kai Banks, I think the only reason we're making such of a big deal about it, and again, I think Donovan's right himself, but the only reason we're making it a big deal about with Noah Kai Banks is how good this kid is. He used the example of Jonathan Gomez, and Jonathan Gomez wasn't anything yet. It was kind of all about potential. That was he had a lot of potential and never really lived up to it. And by the way, Schrock says, I know that look. Beards for both of us were the right call, but I'd love to see how no beard looks now. Schrock, do it too. Send it to us. And you and Nate we can do like a side by side of Schrock and Nate.
We'll put it up on the show. Yeah, we got you.
But no, I think we are so upset about Noah Kai Banks because of how good this kid already is.
Yeah.
At the age
we
of
can't
19,
we can't lose the plot on that. Yeah.
That's like if this is anybody else that isn't playing 1,700 minutes this year in the Bundesliga, I don't think it stings as much. But the issue is this kid at 19 is starting week in, week out for a Bundesliga side and playing really well. Look, it's a gamble to play for Germany. It is. It's a gamble to play for
more of a gamble than playing here.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
More of a
because
gamble than playing here. Yep.
We went down the list last week about the starters that are over him in Germany for the German national team. We talked about that.
Yep.
But you come to the U.S. men's national team and it's like, okay, so we got Miles Robinson, better than Mark McKenzie, you're better than Tim Ream, you're better than, but he's going to play. The only one you're not better than is Chris Richards. That's the only center back. And it's crazy to think that a 19-year-old is like one of our best players in a position of need, and especially where I think our goalkeepers are a little bit shaky, to say the least. We need center backs, and that is why we're so upset about this. Then the other discussion, which you talked about with is Donovan onto something here? Yeah, I would say so because what was the biggest issue this summer with all the American soccer players? Pulisic, they don't care. They don't actually care about it. To be honest with you, I don't really care that they didn't play. It's the Gold Cup. It doesn't matter to me. If this was like Copa America, a much different story. But this is the Gold Cup. Doesn't really bother me. And this kind of feeds then back into for those guys like the Dempseys, the Donovans, the Howards, those guys who were upset and saying this and that. They don't actually care about all this. This then kind of feeds back into that narrative of, dude, they don't actually want to be here. They don't actually want to play for the badge.
Yep.
They want to play for something else. That's what it also feeds into. And again, I don't like Landon Donovan, to be honest with you, but I agree with him because if you we are hosting the damn thing. We are hosting the World Cup in the most profitable World Cup of all time. The most advertising dollars. JP Dughammer said that himself. I'll take his word for it. And you are going to be a starter for every single game. You are going to start in the biggest tournament in soccer history, which obviously 2030 will be the biggest one. But for right now in time, this will be the biggest one. And we gotta beg you to play. I'm with them. I don't really want to see it either because if I gotta beg you to play in your home country for the host nation in the biggest
Yep.
tournament in world soccer history. Are you truly bought in?
No. And here's the thing, to us and our listeners, and to Timmy Howard, and to Landon Donovan and their listeners, the U.S. men's national team is the priority, right? That is the team that we want to see go out and have success. And I know I made my joking video yesterday, my Cinderella video, and how I claimed, the U.S. men's national team is going to be our Cinderella in 2026. By the way, clearly joking to those people who thought that I was being serious about that. I do hope they do well, but that is the priority to us as fans and as media members and people who follow that podcast. But Tim Howard said this, and he could not have been any more right. And it's something that I think is a hard reality, and it's a hard pill to swallow for American soccer fans. And that is, we are not the priority. We are oftentimes the second option on a lot of these players' lists and on a lot of their minds, especially when it comes to the dual nationals. It's unfortunate. It's a story that we have seen time and time and time again. But yet, on the other side, we've also had players, as we've talked about, that have made the opposite decision, who have decided to play here for the U.S. men's national team, who very realistically could have played for another national team. We talked about Dest with the Netherlands. We talked about, technically Christian Pulisic could play with Croatia, but there's a lot of different players on this team who are dual nationals who could play elsewhere, but have decided to choose the U.S. men's national team. So I think that's where Landon Donovan's frustration is coming. It's not that Noah Kai Banks is necessarily kicking the ball around or, pulling USA Soccer around. It's more that we are doing all of this to cater to a 19-year-old when we've had other dual nationals make the decision to play for the U.S. men's national team and to not go elsewhere. But generally speaking, we are not the first priority for a lot of these players. And that is just a hard pill to swallow for American fans, because it takes, like we've said, it takes having a level of success in the World Cup in order to start convincing people, hey, I want to play for the United States. I want to play for this side. I want to play for this program, because they have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that they are here to compete, that they are here to be one of the powers in this sport. Not just because FIFA gave you some brownie points and put you in the top 15 because they know just how much you present to them money-wise. Like, we're not talking about moral victories or anything else like that. Like, you have to prove to people. Now, again, it's ridiculous going back and forth with a 19-year-old. But if I'm going to sum up what Landon Donovan said, because during the summer when he was saying all those things about the players, some people thought it was a little ridiculous and a little overblown. I tended to think I was a little confused, and he had some good points. But right here, I think he has a really solid point, because, again, why are we catering to a 19-year-old when we have all these guys who have made the decisions that they want to play here? But it's so hard, because I understand where USA Soccer is coming from, because you just don't want to burn a bridge when that bridge could really make a difference for your program and for your club in the long run, having him in there. Because if you burn that bridge and you never have a chance, who's to say he doesn't turn out to be something special? And now you're looking back and going, well, I wish we would have maybe given him a little bit more patience. So while I do agree with what Landon Donovan is saying, I will also admit that there's probably a little bit more gray area in terms of these conversations.
Yeah, no, I concur with you. Shout out Catch Me If You Can. That's how I found out about that word. But I just took a little gander on terms of, potential other dual nationals we could deal with with the U.S. men's national team, and I also looked at the top dual nationals in the world. So Matthias Halbert, we talked about how special that kid is. He could potentially play for Germany or France as well. He is cap tied to the United States youth team, but he could 100% play for anyone else. Leonard Prescott, obviously we talked about with the Red Bulls. He could play for Germany. Where is the other big one? I just saw the guy who plays for Figueroa, who plays for Liverpool. He could play for Honduras. He was born there, but immigrated to the United States. Benjamin Kramashi, who plays for Inter Miami, could play for Argentina as well. Where's Slonia at, who I think is eventually going to become our number one goalkeeper in 2030? Where is he at? I just saw him on the list. But Slonia, he's another one that plays for Chelsea. I think he's a really good up-and-coming goalkeeper for us. But I can't find the countries. Okay. Anyway, but then we go to just the top dual national players, in the world. Declan Rice was actually played for Ireland. He was actually capped. He actually made a couple senior caps with Ireland. But guess where he plays? England. Diego Costa back in the day, he started out with Brazil, ended up on Spain. Wilfred Zaha started out in England, went to the Ivory Coast. Inikai Williams went to Spain and then eventually went over to Ghana. Thiago Motta went to Brazil and then Italy. And Dumfries started out with Aruba and went to the Netherlands. That's just crazy. And then arguably, or one of the best footballers of all time, Puskás, started out at Spain and also played for Hungary. There's a name for the best goal of the year named to him. So this isn't anything new. But again, I think at the same time, the stature of Noah Kai Banks is a good sign for the men's national team, the U.S. men's national team, that a player that has gone through our youth system, not our youth systems, but our youth national teams, is such a wanted prospect. But at the same time, I kind of think his heart's with Germany anyway because he grew up there. And you talked about that last week. Like there's nothing against the guy for, you grew up in a spot. I can't really hate on him for it. But then back to the point of, we're the second option for a lot of these players. Like if Balogun had the opportunity to play for England, he would have played for England. If Dest had the opportunity to start for the Netherlands, he would have went to the Netherlands. That's not anything crazy. That's not anything out of the ordinary, but that's just the truth. That's just the truth of where our men's national team is in the rest of the world. So, yeah, no, I wouldn't. I know I put at the bottom here too harsh on Noah Kai Banks. No, because I don't think it's too harsh. I think it's just the facts. It's just reality. It's I don't think it's too harsh on anything.
No, yeah, I 1000% back you up on that. And it's it's unfortunate to see. Like you just want you want him to make the best decision for him. You trust that he's going to be able to do that. You want it to be with us. And I completely understand that you want to give him that runway to make that decision, but again, you can only do so much to try and convince the kid to stick around. So, whatever you have to do, you have to do. So, we'll have to see. And again, that's what Landon Donovan said. I think it was important that he qualified everything, all of his critiques and all of his criticisms by saying, go where your heart is. No one's going to hold it against you that you go and play for a side that you feel more passionate about, that you feel more connected to. And I even said that right out of the gate. The issue is not that. The issue is, we're getting extremely, extremely close here. Like we're starting to heat up at this point. There's no more time to sit around and try and make decisions on where you're going to go. There's no more time to wait around or weigh your options or anything else like that. So that's where I agree with what he's saying. And I agree with, and I know it's a hard decision for a 19-year-old to make because there's a lot of pressure when it comes to that, but the time is now to make the choice. So we'll see. And like I said, where he is on the field, the position he plays, everything, like it could be a dire need for the U.S. men's national team. And it's funny because I had someone in a comment section on TikTok go, I'm 50 years old and we've always had, all my whole life, we've always had the player that, quote, could be the next one to pave the way forward. It's not just one player, right? Like you have to have players in every position on the field that you're comfortable can be someone that you can rely on for a long time. And in a position need, like where he is, yeah, that would be extremely important. And he would make an immediate impact.
To that guy's comment, whoever it was, I mean, I think we've already had the player to pave the way forward, and his name is Christian Pulisic. And we also had the guys of 94 who paved the way forward. Like, everything was kind of laid down, I think, in 94. Yeah. And then eventually...
Yeah, let's not forget, we've only been taking this serious for about 30 years. Like, people act like we have the same head start Europe had. No, we didn't. Realize the game's been here, but it didn't live and breathe here quite like it did.
The reason we were so behind was we were up there with the world, and then the Great Depression happens, and we just kicked soccer to the curb, and we had to figure out how to get the country back in order, and then the war started, and then after that, it's like, who cares about soccer? Let's focus on baseball, basketball, and football, and then hockey eventually comes along, and hockey was taken more seriously than soccer, and now all of a sudden, once the I forget the league that before the MLS that collapsed, that collapsed, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, 94, you guys are gonna have the World Cup, we're gonna have the MLS, and then all of a sudden we go. Which, by the way, I saw videos of the PK shootouts originally in the MLS. Dude, we got to go back to that. That was sick. But no, like we were so behind, and now all of a sudden we're starting to. I don't want to say we're closing the gap, but I will say I think our floor has definitely risen. So I guess maybe we're closing the gap, but our floor, I think, as a men's national team and as a nation, is definitely risen than what it was, say, 10 years ago.
Yeah. No, you're 100% correct. Let's take a step aside, though, here on Inside the Game. Look at us right at 10 o'clock getting into all sports content week.
You don't want to talk about Salah?
We could talk. You want to talk about Salah? We could talk about Salah.
I just like shitting on Liverpool, so yeah.
Let's do that on the other side then. I'll let you do your thing. First Barca Academy is a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network and the official academy of FC Barcelona in the United States. Designed for boys and girls ages 6 to 18, Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model. Same philosophy used by Barca's professional coaching staff. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code FCB30, and that's FCB30. Scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you at fcbarcelona.us/camps.
In Barca camp, I sing my song Grown on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up now for Barca Camp.
The National Soccer Network presents the MLIS and WMLIS Finals weekend. 8 teams battling for a championship at the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Don't miss the excitement March 28th and 29th as the top indoor soccer teams compete for the title. Watch every match live and exclusively on the National Soccer Network.
Let's get into this a little bit. Mo Salah could potentially be leaving. It seems like he's going to be gone. I know we talked about, I was mentioning maybe a few transfers that could come in and take his place, launching right back into it here on Inside the Game. You said you wanted to take an opportunity to sound off. And so here's your soapbox. Go ahead, get up on it. Do your thing, Ryan. Go
First,
ahead.
let me explain why I like shitting on Liverpool. So,
Okay.
so when you work in athletics, you have a lot of people that you know, and you become friends with a lot of people. And then when you do PA announcing, you tend to sit across from the Central Michigan broadcasters, right?
Yep.
And what you don't expect is texts from the voice of the Central Michigan Chippewas to send you texts during the actual game about how Liverpool is going to win the league and how
I thought you meant a tech. I
text.
thought you meant a tech for a second.
No, because when you're doing a game, you don't expect text messages on your phone from Adam Jacksa about how Liverpool's going to win the league and how they're so much better than you. So, I kind of got to take this opportunity to shit on Liverpool a little bit. Anyway,
Fair.
Again, this just feels like the end of an era for Liverpool and in the prime. Just feels like the end of an era because, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this. Did you know Trent Alexander-Arnold could have played for the men's national team? U.S. men's national team.
Really?
Yeah, he could have done. He's got an American grandparent.
Wow.
Fun fact.
Interesting.
Fun fact.
All
But
right.
it just
Gotta
feels
step
like
up our recruiting.
just feels like no, I think he was always going to play for England. He's always really good. Anyway, it just feels like it's finally the end of an era in Liverpool with Salah going to be gone. Mane's been long gone. Firmino's been long gone. Trent gone last year. The only one that feels like it, the only one that is truly there left, and Andy Robertson will be gone. The only one that feels like will be there still kind of in the wreckage, I guess, is Virgil van Dijk, Allison, I guess. But, outside of that, the whole core from Jurgen Klopp's team is just gone. And now I'm curious to think, again, who I think replaces him, it's Isak. I mean, he's just been injured the whole year. But it just feels like the whole chapter from Jurgen Klopp is finally closed. Like last year they won the league. That's all Klopp's guys. I mean, Slot didn't really do anything. The only thing that was different was, maybe some new ideas, maybe some new energy in the building. Also, Man City was horrible up to their standards. But this is going to get into a risky time for Liverpool because the old regime that just won you 2 leagues and a Champions League, they're all gone. Now what do you do? Slot, you've spent over $500 million this summer. I get it, you didn't use all of it, but you've spent over $500 million. You're currently battling with one of your biggest rivals in Manchester United for 4th place in the league. What are you now going to do when club legends are leaving constantly? And again, Mo Salah isn't up to the standard that he normally is. I get he's an older player. I get it. But this is a club legend that's leaving for free. You're not going to get any opportunities. I get it. Luis Diaz was gone as well. I get it. The tragic passing of Jota was unexpected as well. But it just feels now that there's just too much new for Liverpool, and there's not enough like that culture that was established, that foundation of that culture for Liverpool. I mean, yeah, you still have your club captain, but outside of that, you don't really have much. And that's all I really wanted to say is that I just feel like Liverpool is going to get into a risky time now, and I don't know what they do, but it feels like they're kind of like teetering between. We could go back to you know what they feel like, Nate? They feel like the Detroit Lions right now. They feel like they're teetering of we could become really good again, or it could just go back to being horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, and it very well could. And that's why I think they're probably going to try and go the younger route to replace him, just to see if they could lock down someone who could be an option in the years moving forward. I know we just talked about Noah Kai Banks being 19, but, one of the names on here that's mentioned is Jan Diomande as a potential replacement. Obviously, he's 19 years old, so that would be an investment for Liverpool. So, maybe someone else to replace him. There's a couple of other names on this. Anthony Gordon's another name. Is it Gerard or Jared Bowen?
Jared Bowen?
Jared Bowen?
Jared Bowen?
Is someone else that they mentioned on this list too?
Bowen's on fire. Andy shagging Danny Dyer? Yeah, I like that one.
Shagging? Oh my goodness. I love Ryan will use certain Europe. Yeah.
That's the chant. I didn't come up with it.
Oh, that's a chant. Oh,
yeah,
I didn't even know
chant.
that. All right.
I didn't come up with
me
it.
On this.
That
all
was
right. Well, I thought that'd be funny if you came up with it. Then,
when West Ham won.
Credit for that.
What was it? The Conference League a couple years ago, and Bowen was unbelievable. And that just was like he was scoring critical goal after critical goal during that run, and they just kept chanting Bowen's on fire and he's shagging Danny Dyer. And then Bowen started going into the crowd and started singing it with them. It was really cool. I did not come up with that. I'm not that clever. I also don't follow West Ham fan. I don't follow West Ham players or know what's going on. I don't even follow what Arsenal players are doing in their social lives.
That's hilarious, man. All right, let's get into some of our all sports stuff. I'm glad you got that out of your system. I hope you're cutting up some of these and sending them to Adam Jackson just so that he knows we're mentioning him on every other show.
A couple weeks ago, or I think when they lost to Galatasaray, I put the thumbnail. Oh yeah, Liverpool is a mess, and I sent it to him, and he's like, "Yeah, we're a mess, man."
Yep, not going too well. But let's get into one of our favorite segments we do every single week here on Inside the Game. Who DeBetta, and we got a good one today. I really like this one because I know Jeremy Fears said the other night, point guard you, which is, I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but there are certainly some point guards that have come through that have been very good, if not in the NBA, certainly at the college level. But the guard we're talking about on the other side is iconic as well. Trey Burke or Cassius Winston, who DeBetta? Go ahead and lay this one out for us, Ryan.
Yeah, I dislike rage-baiting Michigan State fans. So even though I believe in who I will pick is a million times better, and I'll go into a detailed reason why. But anyway, let's have fun with it. Trey Burke or Cassius Winston. Trey Burke only played 2 years at Michigan. Winston played for 4, so I took Winston's junior and senior year, and I took Burke's 2 years.
Yeah.
Trey Burke is a true freshman, 14, almost nearly 15 points a game, 4.5 assists, 3.5 rebounds, 43% field goal percentage, 34% from 3. And then his sophomore year, his Wooden Award-winning year, 18.5 points a game, nearly 7 rebounds, just under 3.5 rebounds a game. Improved his field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, 46% from the field, 38% from 3. Also was a Big Ten champ his freshman year, Wooden Award winner in his sophomore year. They went to the national championship game and hit the iconic shot against Kansas. Cassius Winston, on the other hand, nearly 19 points a game his junior year, 7.5 assists, 3 rebounds a game, 46% from the field goal, 39% from 3. And then his senior year, his best season, nearly 19 points a game, 6 rebounds. Actually, no, his best year was his junior year. Interesting. 2.5 rebounds a game, 44% from field goals, and 43% from 3. He was a 3-time Big Ten regular season champ. He does have a Big Ten tournament championship in there. And also his junior year was the famous team that beat Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett. Also mentioned his senior year, he did lose to Juwan Howard. Just had to put it out there. 3-time Big Ten champ, as I mentioned, Wooden Award winner as well. So, Nate, who DeBetta between these two?
Nah, this is a tough one. And this is a tough one mostly because I got to think objectively about this, right? Like, I can't just immediately go with my bias. I feel like I did back when you asked the question about SGA versus Cade because I just didn't want to give SGA the benefit of the doubt. Plus, I would much rather prefer OKC fans be mad at me than our Detroit brethren because I think we all love Cade. But here's the truth. When I look at this, it's tough to say because when you look at, number one, I think Cassius Winston was obviously the more accomplished point guard. Clearly, you saw from what we've seen in terms of the 3 Big Ten championships on an individual basis, what he was able to do. I think the overall numbers bear out that he was a little bit better in terms of a shooter, and obviously, I think he was a better distributor. But what's hard for me is that if either of the two would have completed their national championships, I think it would have been easier to say one was better than the other. But realistically, both of them fell short. And so you really kind of have to get into the weeds on this. When we go head to head, Jeremy Fears saying that Michigan State is point guard you. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Obviously Magic Johnson is legendary and he paved the way in the National Basketball Association. But the other name that immediately comes to my mind when I think of point guards, Michigan State, has to be Cassius Winston. And that's because that entire time where he was there, that entire Michigan State program moved the way he moved. He was the kind of catalyst that drove that machine for that Michigan State team, the pre-COVID Michigan State teams, with his ability to assist, with his ability to see the court. He was one of the best point guards that I've seen, at least in my lifetime, come through the conference that's played at Michigan State. And at the top of his game, he was unbelievable. I mean, you talk about that Duke game. I think that's one of the most signature wins, if not the signature win in the history of that program. I know they have a national championship, so obviously you can't say it's the most important win, but
I don't recall
that
those.
single game alone, beating Duke, he had 20 points, he had 10 assists. How many boy, he had 4 steals in that game. Shot just under 40% from 3 that day against Duke. He had one of the best games of his career and the biggest moments of his career against a Duke team that, let's be frank with ourselves, ESPN and everybody else under the sun did not think was going to lose that year and thought we're a sure thing to go win a national championship. And yet here comes freaking Cassius Winston, Grand Rapids Christian's finest, and Xavier Tillman and freaking Tom Izzo doing it again. So I understand what Trey Burke did in terms of if I'm going to go with clutch, right? Like if I want the guy to take the last shot to win the game, Trey Burke in his prime at Michigan's probably going to be the guy I go with. But from a true point guard perspective and just elevating everybody else around them, I know I normally don't give the nod to Michigan State. I'm going to give this one. I think Cassius Winston in head-to-head at the same exact time at Michigan State or at Michigan, I'm going to go a little bit better. But you can't even say NBA with Trey Burke too, right? Because Trey Burke, his NBA career flamed out as well. So they're very similar in a lot of ways, but I'll give the edge to Cassius Winston on this one.
Shout out Igaraneza in the YouTube chat. He said Burundi, Africa. So hopefully I said all that right. It looks like he's watching from there. Interesting. So
also is the all-time assist leader in the Big Ten, in the Big Ten conference history, Cassius Winston. So something else to keep in mind.
How? Braden Smith has the all-time NCAA record. How can Cassius have the Big Ten record?
Oh, maybe it's a single season record. Maybe that's what it was.
I was about to say Braden Smith literally just broke the NCAA record.
I think it's a single season
3
record.
days ago.
But anyways, you're right. No, it is single season. But anyways.
So Nate, let's paint the picture here a little bit, right? So I put in the 2 best years for Cassius, which was his junior and senior year, right? I put in the 2 only years for Trey Burke, which were his true freshman and his sophomore year. His true freshman year, he had unranked recruits in his starting 5, in Stu Douglas and Zach Novak, and unproven Tim Hardaway Jr., and a center who could not catch the ball, Jordan Morgan. So what did he do with that? Want to share the Big Ten championship for the first time in like 30 years for Michigan with Ohio State, Michigan State. Weird how that works. I know they didn't do anything in the tournament, but if you go look back at that roster, interesting. Then we go into Cassius in his sophomore year. Nothing too impressive, but he had 2 5-stars in his starting 5 his sophomore year when he was truly the reigning point, truly holding the reins for a point guard. Jaren Jackson, Miles Bridges. Won a Big Ten championship, sure, but did nothing after that. They flamed out at home at LCA against Syracuse. Interesting how that works. And to that Duke team, they should have lost in the round of 32 to Taco Fall. I still think that Duke team is one of the most overrated teams of all time. They should have lost to Virginia Tech in the Sweet 16, and then eventually lost to Kenny Goings and Michigan State. So I want to go from let's break it down a little. Let's break it down from a fundamental standpoint. Shout out Ken Murphy. When every single action is designed around you and every single screen is designed for you, you're going to put up numbers. You're going to be great. But on the flip side, when not every single action's around you and you make every single player around you better, isn't that the definition of a true point guard in Trey Burke? Interesting how that works. Oh, wait. Trey Burke put Michigan basketball, who was an afterthought, on the map. Interesting. Trey Burke's the obvious answer. He did this in 2 years as a freshman and a sophomore. We could say Trey Burke flamed out in the NBA. Well, guess what? He had a 10-plus year career in the NBA. He was on the Mavs team that made the finals with Luka Doncic. Just putting it out there. What did Cassius Winston do? Oh, wait. He was out of the league in 2 years. Interesting. Trey Burke is by far a better point guard than Cassius because he did more with less talent. His sophomore year, an unproven Nick Stauskas at that point, an unproven Glenn Robinson III. Tim Hardaway Jr. was the only proven player at that point. And if you take Trey Burke out of that team, they don't do anything his freshman and sophomore year. You could take Cassius Winston out of his team for half of those years, and they still probably win a Big Ten championship. Cassius Winston, I think, the only reason he put up numbers is because every single screen and every single action was designed around this guy having the ball. Oh, and let's not mention how many offensive fouls that were never called on Cassius Winston. Trey Burke is by far a better point guard than Cassius Winston.
Yeah, I don't know how you can claim making everybody around him better for Trey Burke versus Cassius Winston, just because they're top prospects and just because they ended up being future NBA guys, which, by the way, I don't think you can look at Tim Hardaway and just go, well, Tim Hardaway wasn't good then. Tim Hardaway
Jr. was good his sophomore year, or his junior year, Trey Burke's sophomore year.
He was
He
dynamite.
wasn't
But
anything.
anyways,
He was not anything.
just because you have
freshman year.
NBA guys around you doesn't mean you can't make them better.
Nate,
and yeah,
there
no,
were-
no duh. If you have a
There were
point guard,
two
you're
white
going to run your
dudes from
offense around
Indiana who were unranked players in the starting five and playing 25 plus minutes a night for Trey
But
Burke.
we're talking
and Trey
about
Burke
individual
won a
comparison.
share of the Big Ten title for the first time
That's awesome.
in 25 years.
That's great.
Put a
like, what-
university on the map in
What is
college
that?
basketball.
That's great. What does that have anything to do with individual numbers and the
Won
way that they
the
perform?
Wooden Award winner was the Wooden Award winner as a sophomore. Cassius was a junior when that happened.
Well, so 1 year later, again, that's the way that
Nate,
Michigan State has operated, at least
The
during
amount
that
of
era.
talent on both sides as well. Because what's the true definition of a point guard? To make everyone around them better. Trey Burke, not every single action was, not every screen was for him. Not every action was for him. On the flip side, for Cassius Winston, every single screen was designed
you're
around
saying
him.
two
Why
different
do you
things right
think?
now? You're saying that it was all about him, but also that he had a stacked lineup around him. Which
Who was the
I
stacked
would- I
lineup
would
around Trey
agree.
Burke? An unproven
not
Nick
saying
Stauskas? An unproven Glenn Robinson? An unproven
then
Mitch
why-
McGarry?
You didn't think he was you don't think he was the focus of that offense? Also, Mitch McGarry was great. Mitch McGarry just
He was good
screwed
for
up his career
6
'cause of
games in his Michigan career, and that
marijuana.
was the tournament. He did nothing
Yeah, well.
outside of that. And if he stayed off the weed, he would have had a really good sophomore year in Michigan. Probably would have been back to the Final Four, but
Yeah.
he decided to be
Yeah,
stupid. So
that's true. That's
Mitch
true.
McGarry
Yep.
was good for 6 games in his Michigan career, and that was against South Dakota State, VCU, Kansas, Florida, Syracuse, and Louisville. Those were the only good games he was good for.
Yeah. Well, so here I'll put it this way. How about better career? I'll go Cassius. How about better player? Maybe I'll give the edge to Trey Burke.
I
In
mean,
terms
better
of
career, sure. He
individual
played for 4 years.
It's tough to, but that's the other part. Like, it's tough to compare 4 to 2. But in terms of being
Trey
a
Burke did
true
more in
point guard,
2 years than Cassius did in 4.
Okay, it took him a few more years. I don't think that necessarily takes away from what he did do in
But
the years that he
Nate,
had.
he
and bringing
walked
him
in
to
the
national
door as a
championship.
true freshman and immediately changed the trajectory of Michigan basketball. Cassius Winston walked in the door as a true freshman, and they barely made the tournament. And he had 5 stars in Josh Langford and Miles Bridges in his starting 5. Trey
Yeah,
Burke had
I don't- I-
unranked recruits in his starting 5. That's why John Beilein is always a better developer of talent than Tom Izzo will ever be.
Ryan Glinsky, our favorite rage baiter here on
It's not
Inside the
rage
Game.
bait
You
'cause
do
if it's
you do a good
facts.
job.
It's not
You do a
rage
good
baiting
job
if
of it,
it's
though.
facts.
He's not a better developer than Tom Izzo. That is the most ridiculous statement I've heard on this
okay,
show.
we
It is
could go
utterly
down
ridiculous.
the list of talent Beilein has inherited to Tom Izzo. When Karis LeVert walked in the door, you're telling me that's a first-round pick? Nick Stauskas walked in the door. You're telling me that's a lottery pick and a future Big Ten Player of the Year? Trey Burke walked into the door. You're telling me that's a Wooden Award point guard? His only offer was Penn State. Mo Wagner walks into the door. You're telling me that's a future first-round draft pick? No, it's not. A better developer of talent is 1,000% John Beilein. Izzo has had countless 5 stars. What has he done? Beilein has been to Monday night 2 times since Izzo's last Monday night. And Beilein hasn't even coached for 6-7 years. No pun intended.
Yep.
Tom Izzo has had so much talent walk through his door. Xavier Booker, 5-star. Max Christie, 5-star. Gary Harris, 5-star. Josh Langford, Miles Bridges, Jaren Jackson. Do I need to go on all 5 stars? How many 5 stars has John Beilein ever had? 1. Glenn Robinson, 1. And he was a borderline 5-star. And Beilein does way more with talent, has done way more with less talent than John Beilein, than Tom Izzo. Let's not forget Cassius Winston was a high-rated recruit. high 4-star. He made a Final Four and then lost to Jarrett Culver and Matt Mahoney and the Italian dude from Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Point guard
Draymond
University,
Green,
my ass.
Hall of Famer, Draymond Green. Jaren Jackson Jr., Zach Randolph, Jason Richardson, Miles Bridges, Gary Harris, Morris Peterson, Mateen Cleaves, Denzel Valentine, Shannon Brown, Xavier Tillman, Cassius Winston, Max Christie, Jace Richardson. That doesn't even.
A lot of high-rated
there's
recruits.
still a bunch.
A lot of
bunch
high-rated recruits.
Remaining one on there. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure we could go back and forth and nitpick specific ones, but I mean, Beilein was the one that made the decision to go to the NBA. Like, he was the one that made that decision. If he was such a good developer, why didn't he stay at Michigan?
Every player leaving so early because it's weird. It's weird how a lot of this works. Izzo gets guys to stay extra years. Beilein doesn't get guys to stay extra years. It's the truth. The only player he's gotten to leave early, one and dones, Max Christie, Jace Richardson, but again, I didn't think he was ready to begin with. And then just had him in his name, Jaren Jackson, Max Christie. Those are the only one and dones. Beilein's had one and done, but guys like Stauskas, Glenn Robinson, Mitch McGarry, they all left after sophomore years. Brazdeikis left after 1 year. Jordan Poole left after a second year. Those guys weren't NBA ready, yet they left. Beilein has done way more with less talent than Tom Izzo has.
Yeah. Yeah, it is certainly an argument there.
We can go down all these recruiting classes, and I'll tell you, there is nothing. There is not a star-studded class for John Beilein's recruiting class than a Tom Izzo class. Tom Izzo had all-in-one recruiting class, Langford, Bridges, Cassius, and I'm blanking on the fourth because there was another one, and I'm blanking on his name. All top 100 kids, and won a Big Ten championship, I guess. That's about it. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, I think a product of good development is keeping your players for long and being able to develop them in-house, which I think MSU clearly has a decorated history of doing so.
They all leave.
What are you talking about? What do you mean they all leave?
A key of developing guys is getting into, which, by the way, our Instagram, a lot of people hopping in there. Shout out you, too. It's Gavin Duvall. Shout out to you, man. It made me lose my train of thought. So if you develop a player to NBA caliber ready, which, by the way, Michigan does have more NBA prospects than Michigan State. I guess that's not a good sign of development. You're telling me that a sign of good development is getting guys to stay. That is the exact opposite of sign of good development. Getting guys to leave early is a sign of good development, not getting them to stay.
I would have to disagree with that. How many different guys have left early in their NBA careers flamed out? How many guys have left early in their NBA careers flamed out? Staying an extra year in college should not be looked at as a bad thing for development. How is that a bad thing for development?
It's a bad thing of development because if you are a better developer of talent, players leave early because they are then NBA ready. That is the issue. Oh, Duncan Robinson, forgot to even mention him. Division III player. You like the underdog story. Division III player to Division I. He's making $100 million plus in the NBA in his career so far. It's another one. Tom Izzo would never have that. Tom Izzo would never develop that. Never would.
So here's a list of 4-year college NBA stars. Tim Duncan, again, Draymond Green, another good example. Damian Lillard, Jimmy Butler, CJ McCollum, Malcolm Brogdon, Danny
those guys
Green.
are all from mid-majors besides Tim Duncan. That's a different time era.
I understand that, but they were in college for longer, which means they had more seasoning by the time they got to the NBA.
Then we can go to go to current day. Jason Tatum one and done. Kyrie Irving one and done.
Why do you think so many players are going the G League route now? Why do you think so many players are going the G League route now?
Because A, they're getting paid, and two, they're not that good.
They still need to develop. Many of these guys are in the G League because they need to develop.
Beilein hasn't coached at Michigan since 2018. This argument makes no sense.
I know. It's completely different, but there's
the argument is Beilein versus Izzo. Why are we talking about today? Beilein has not coached since 2018.
Into development. You turned it into player development.
Yes.
That's the conversation
because
you wanted
the more you leave, the quicker you left in the Beilein Izzo era, the better of developer you were. Now you can get people to stay all the time with this, which again, the MSU, that doesn't spend NIL money. That's a load of crap because you're telling me Cohen Carr got $2 million plus, stayed. Don't give me this culture BS with Michigan State. Is Beeline better developer of talent? 1,000%. He got guys to leave early. Guys left early.
So if one of Dusty May's one and dones this year went on and were to have success in the NBA or wherever,
there's only one and done.
You would say that they were. You would say that he was developed by Dusty May.
There is only one guy that could be a one and done, and that's Trey McKinney. Everyone else is not a one and done.
True. So if Trey McKinney did that, would you consider him a guy that was developed by Dusty May?
The way he entered the season, the way he's playing right now, yeah, you tell him he is developed by Dusty May.
So one season with Dusty May is he gets to claim him as a product that he's developed. So I guess John Calipari is one of the best coaches ever based off of your logic, right? John Calipari must be this unbelievable developer because these guys came for 1 year as a rental to Kentucky and all of a sudden they're tearing it up in the NBA, right? Like going off of your logic.
Yeah, because he gets all these 5 stars and they become studs in the NBA. Last time I checked, Calipari's got a national championship within 15 years. So okay, yeah. we'll go down. We'll go down this list. Karis LeVert, unranked recruit, turned into a first rounder and still playing. Spike Albrecht, shout out Spike Albrecht, by the way, unranked recruit. Nick Skauskas barely made it into the top 100, and like I said, Glenn Robinson, borderline 5-star. Mitch McGarry, higher rated recruit. If McGarry stayed off the weed, where's Trey Burke at? Oh, Trey Burke outside the top 100 and turned into a Wooden Award winner. Interesting how that works. 2013, load. Yeah, internet, blame John. The internet's not working here.
But you act like being a highly rated recruit automatically means that you're going to pan out. Like automatically means that
you're getting 5 stars.
It's not 5 stars doesn't. I mean, it means something. Yes, I will admit, but it doesn't mean everything. Like you still have to be in a good system. You still have to be coached well in order to have success.
But you come in with all this high praise. You're a top-rated recruit. You have to develop. You have to be really good right away.
That you have to, but that doesn't mean you're automatically going to. Like you need good coaching and everything else. Good training
coach
staff.
That has constant 5 stars doesn't win with them at all, and a couple of them transfer.
I'm not going to say that Beeline wasn't established a bad culture. It didn't have a culture of winning. He absolutely had a culture of winning. I don't think you can easily say that he's just a better developer simply because Izzo got 5 stars. Izzo's a better recruiter. Maybe Izzo was just had more.
But he won nothing with it
because of what.
And Beeline did more than Tom Izzo did.
What did Beeline win with it?
Beeline won couple of Big Ten championships, and he's been to the Final Four twice, and he's been to Monday night twice.
He choked in both scenarios. So I don't know.
A team with 6 NBA first-round picks in Villanova, and in 2013, which by the way, 2013 Louisville championship doesn't even exist anymore. Just putting it out there. But so a coach who goes further in the tournament wins a lot of things, yet on the other side, Tom Izzo, he's been to what, 1 Final Four in the last 10 years? With more talent, and Beeline hasn't coached for 8 years, and he's been to the same amount of Final Fours, and he had less talent?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Good run. For sure. Yep. But let's when we come back, I know we got to talk about Man City a little bit. I've been leaving that one out there. So let's talk about Man City when we come back. Let's talk a little bit about Stevie Y and the Red Wings. Is he done? Is his time done in Detroit? I certainly think we're getting there. But first, Man City soccer camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, bringing world-class training inspired by Man City's global football philosophy to players across the U.S. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels, these camps focus on technical development, decision-making, and playing the game the City way. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code MCNSN30. Again, that's MCNSN30. Scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you, usacamps.mancity.com. Back in live here on Inside the Game, 257 here on the National Soccer Network. Well, Ryan, sure thing. Talked about how last night was the most important game of the year for the Red Wings, and they choked. So the question is Stevie Y done in Detroit?
No,
I don't think so either.
he will never
But-
be done.
Yeah.
You hear anyone close to the franchise, the organization, they all talk about Stevie Y, and he's going to be there for a long time. I don't think there's any true real pressure from Illich about this Red Wings team of like, you have to get results now, because I think they're stuck in this wait for the kids. We're trying to build a dynasty like it was back in the 90s and 2000s, and we want to build a new playoff streak, which it's all fine and dandy, but the last 4 years of the playoffs we got in and we got killed. Maybe we win a game, but outside of that, we didn't do anything. Did you know Justin Abdicator is still getting paid by the Red Wings?
Yeah, I did.
He has not played for the Wings in 4 years, and he still gets over $1 million. Yep. Shout out Ken Holland. I will also say Ken Holland did leave Stevie Y under the 8 ball, because there's a lot of sketchy contracts towards the end there, because I think the Red Wings were so consumed by trying to keep that playoff streak alive, and it was do anything we can to get this playoff streak, to continue this playoff streak, do anything we can. If we get killed in the first round, who cares? We kept the streak alive. And then eventually when it ended, it was like, okay, let's finally go into the rebuild, when we could have done the rebuild 3 years prior. But instead, we had to keep that streak alive, and guess what? We did nothing with it. I think we may have won like one game in the last 3 years of that streak.
Yeah, and you know, seeing players come back from injury, it's a good sign. Getting Larkin back, seeing him score a goal, you know, all those things are great. But you know, the reality is that we're running out of time in order to right the ship. And what's so funny is, I mean, you heard Stevie Y say it, you know, once, you know, that this team was gonna, quote, write their own history in March, that this group and this squad was going to write a new bit of history in this month. Well, right now, or a new story, if you will. And right now, the story that we're seeing is been all too familiar. This is nothing new to what we've seen out of this team over the last handful of Marches. And it has to do with injuries. Sure. I mean, having Larkin out for the stretch of time that it was, but they just seem flat. They seem uninspired. And Ryan, I don't know what it is that needs to be done in order to get this team to not flame out at the very end. Because even when the Wings, and you mentioned it, were making those playoff runs, and they only won one game in the last, 2 or 3 years of whatever that stretch was, they were so banged up and so hurt and so they were out of it old, before it even began. And so I think the damage from that and trying to build from the bottom up again, has been long and it's been grueling. And now it felt like finally we were in a spot to do something about it. And it just, again, picking up someone at the deadline like Justin Falk, yeah, that helps, but it didn't really put this team over the edge. And so now it just feels like it's almost kind of like Arsenal in a way. You feel like when you talk about them in cup finals, like you can even, sorry, I didn't mean to do you like that, but it is starting to become the reputation with the Red Wings, which is so sad because, again, how can you call Detroit Hockey Town if the biggest disappointment in your town outside of the Lions has been the Red Wings? And I know that the other sports have obviously had their disappointing moments. The Tigers have disappointed in certain stretches, and obviously the Pistons flamed out of the playoffs last year. But in terms of an organization that we trusted more than anything because of Stevie Y and the position that he's in, has been nothing more than a disappointment. And I agree. I don't think they're ever going to never say never, but it's going to be a cold day in hell when the Red Wings finally look at the captain and go, hey, we're going to decide to move on. Like, we're going to decide to bring somebody else in to kind of run this, to spearhead this, because he was so good with the Lightning. He was so good as a player that it's like, it's natural to think that this is going to crack. At some point, this is going to work. But as a sports town, and I feel comfortable saying this about Detroit, we are so protective, so unbelievably protective of our stars and of our legends. And it is, I get it, right? Because we're a small market. And so when the stars are the stars, and more often than that, when they stick around in Detroit for longer than just a couple of years, I think about someone like Justin Verlander. I mean, if JV were to become the head man for the Tigers and go Al Avila style and just take the organization, people would still look at him and go, hey, you got to trust. JV knows what he's talking about. But it's just because he is Detroit. He is someone that we have accepted as our guy. And so I think it's hard to look at Stevie Y and be like, yep, his time's coming to an end. I don't believe it is. I don't believe it is. I think we're in the thick of it. And I don't think Detroit will ever let the captain go because he is the captain. And we remember all the memories he delivered for us. But right now, he's not producing. And this is just becoming a horror story that, like I said yesterday, there's a saying in baseball that I love, that coaches and managers always use, and it's the most accurate statement ever. And they say Groundhog Day every day, because every day is literally Groundhog Day. Every day you get up and pretty much do the same exact thing. Like this summer, I'm going to get up, I'm going to do this show with you, I'm going to make my videos, I'm going to work out, I'm going to go to the stadium, I'm going to do the game, I'm going to go to bed, and then I'm going to wake up the next day and do the same damn thing over for 5-6 consecutive days, because it's Groundhog Day every day. And right now it is Groundhog Day every day with this Red Wings organization, because we see the same shit every year. And so they are running out of time, but they need something to inspire them. I don't know what that something is, but they've been flat as a board.
I just say they get into a fight. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Gets the team
Yeah,
going.
and they were talking about that. They're like, we want to embody ourselves like we're the Pistons. We want to be the aggressors. Well, then be the aggressors.
So
stop with whatever's going on.
And I was listening to someone on the radio that said, again, once it was 2-0, and I turned the game off. I was like, okay, this team sucks. Raymond got cross-checked in the back, and no one did anything to defend Lucas Raymond. I think this team, just to the team before I get into my other points, I think this team, this current group of players, we are lacking that grind line. We are lacking that sandpaper for some reason. I hear people say, I'm like, that makes no sense, but it does make sense. We are lacking.
You ever touch sandpaper?
Yeah, we are lacking that sandpaper on the ice, lacking that rough, that grittiness. Like, we don't have an enforcer, I guess, quote unquote. We're lacking that, and I feel like this Red Wings team is too soft. And to your point, I said this when they put it on the ice. We can't call ourselves Hockey Town. But everyone's like, we have so many Stanley Cups and we're original 6 team. Well, what have we done in the last decade? We haven't made the playoffs in the last decade. And to be honest with you, we weren't really contenders since, I guess, 13, maybe 2011. Because those last 3 years, guess how many playoff games we won in those last 3 years of making the playoffs? We got swept in the other 2, and the other one was a gentleman's sweep. So we were making the playoffs, but it was just to make the playoffs. Like, this team, since probably, again, you know how like the Tigers, like the OG, not the OG Tigers, but like the Verlander, the Cabrera, We know
Because
the
it's
day
OG in our generation.
the OG in our generation, yeah. The day the Tigers died, we all know, is when Torrey Hunter flew into the Red Sox bullpen at Fenway when Big Papi had a grand slam on us to tie things up in the 9th, I believe. We all know that was the day the Red Wings died. Maybe the day the Lions died. Could be the Commanders. I don't know when the exact day the Pistons died, but we know that. I don't know exactly when the Red Wings died, but they died a long time ago. Like, this team has not done anything. And the only thing that is kind of, keeping me optimistic about the future with the Red Wings is, we don't have a ton of cap. We have a lot of cap space. We're towards the bottom of the league in terms of cap space. So that helps me a little bit, just to maybe we can get a couple free agent guys, but who wants to come to the Red Wings right now? Because we got to overpay. We can't compete with the Florida because of our taxes. Because you can go to the Panthers and be perfectly fine because the taxes, are just it's whatever. That's not that much. We come to Michigan, it's a completely different story. But they also win. If anything, Florida is hockey town because it ain't us, and we haven't made it in a decade.
Messed up too. I hate that. I hate that so much. I hate that you just said that.
What?
You're right, but I hate that you said that. You said it. Florida being hockey town.
That's right. Florida is hockey town.
It's stupid.
They won cup. They win
Miami
cups.
is hockey town. Miami, Florida is hockey town. No, you're right. You're right, but it's dumb. My broadcast coach is from Florida, and he's a big old Panthers fan, and I'm like, are you a Panthers fan, or did you just show up to the stadium for Game 7 of the Stanley Cup? Just be honest with me, okay? The rest of the season, you were on the beach or at a strip club or doing something else, and now all of a sudden you're a hockey fan. Get the hell out of here, okay? Get out of town. I don't believe it. It's stupid, but my goodness gracious, they win a lot, and I respect them. I don't like it, but I respect it.
And I guess looking at the Panthers, they didn't win for a little bit there. They had a couple cracks at it. They won in the first round in 22 and 23, and then lost in conference finals, lost in second rounds, and then so it did take them a minute to get there. And I understand the whole notion of, well, it's hockey, rebuilds are different. It's not the NFL. It's it takes a while to build up the team. But all we're asking for is just make the playoffs. We never said win a playoff series. We never said win a playoff game. We just said make the playoffs. And we can't do that. It's just, and I get it, we're in such a difficult division. I get it. But these other teams are still making it. Boston's making it. Ottawa's. It's just, it's so frustrating, man, because it's all we want is the playoffs. It's not like we're asking to get in the playoffs, make a run, and contend for the cup. Just we're asking for the bare minimum. It's like the Tigers 2 years ago. We just happen to be here.
Yeah. And why is it that we are so good at getting off the hot starts, but then teams just figure us out as the year goes? That's the part where it's that's the most troubling part. It's how hot of a start you can get off to and then just get figured out as the year goes, because that's typically how it goes, and then they're just able to shut everything down. So it's man, it's discouraging. It's all those other things wrapped into one. I know we had a couple of other things on here that we wanted to mention. I know we're coming up on question of the day.
By the way, the donut shop in Muskegon, Sprinkles.
That's what it is. Yes,
I
have been to Sprinkles. Good stuff. Yeah, I think they have coffee too. So no,
Probably.
that place is I
was never
awesome.
there. I just woke up and they were in the house. I was
you just woke up and it was there for you.
Yeah.
All right, that's not too bad. That's a good setup. All right, let's just quickly we'll do rapid fire here. First of all, Kevin McGonigal makes a roster for the Tigers. I'm happy about this, man. I'm excited to see. Like I said, he's the best, in my opinion. He's the best hitting prospect I've ever seen with my two eyes. Now, keep in mind, I've seen PCA. I've seen Ellie De La Cruz in person.
Payday for him.
Seen a lot of these guys. Yeah, massive. Yeah,
115. I met him last year, by the way.
Certainly.
Nice guy.
Really? Yeah. He's the real deal. But I think Kev is the best pure hitter I've ever seen. So I'm excited for this.
The only thing I have to say about Kevin McGonigal is I just hope the same thing that happened to Torkelson and Riley Green right away don't happen to McGonigal, because again, this is why I thought let's sign a bat because I don't want to put all the pressure on the world on a young kid's shoulders, especially in the game of baseball. I don't want these kids to, because it's such a mental game. Baseball is, and I think you would agree with that. Like,
big time.
You go into a slump, and I don't know, the first thought process is I might never get out of it again. And I don't want this kid.
Right.
This kid with so much potential. Like, everyone's hyping this kid up. The only thing that he doesn't have is he's a very awkward social person. Keep working hard and all that fun stuff.
Hey,
but that's the only thing I don't want to hear about Kevin McGonigal is him to flame out early because the fans may have gotten onto him. That's why I would have liked another bat this offseason, just because we can maybe take off some pressure for the kid. Maybe we put him down at AAA to start the year, maybe get his confidence up, then he comes back, then he comes in the MLB. That's the only thing I'm worried about this kid is I just don't want his confidence destroyed right away.
Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, I mean, they forced Torque up in 1 year.
Exactly.
I mean, it was like literally from the Caps to the Tigers. So it's like it wasn't that quick. They definitely let Kev season a lot more. I know this because last year, the entire summer, I was fielding questions about when is Kevin McGonigal getting it moved up anytime he hit a home run. So they definitely have let him season a little
Nate
bit.
was
so
crashing out on the fan base. Oh my God, shut up.
Leave me alone. I don't know. Okay. Ask the organization. I have no clue. The last point that I wanted to work in here before we get to question of the day, Michigan sports needs to get over the hump. Okay, this is just something that needs to happen. Michigan hockey beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship
Western Michigan
game.
won
Now the
last
playoffs. Yeah, that's true. Yep, Western got it done. So Michigan hockey, I forget how many national championships they've been to since their last one in '97. A handful of them. And Michigan basketball has also been to a pair since their last one. Michigan sport, they just need to minus football, right? And I said that in there. I'm like, minus football. Football finally did it. They got
you're saying University of Michigan?
Yes, University
I thought
of
you were
Michigan.
saying the state of Michigan as a whole.
No, well, state of Michigan, I'm sure you could say that too. I mean, I think Sparty got a hockey title in 2007, but between both the programs, I think that's the last time that they've ever done so. But no, the University of Michigan, you just got to get over the hump. You know what's crazy? I was talking to my dad. He's seen 5 different national titles between basketball and hockey that they've
football?
lost in. Since '97, since all that happened. So it's like and all the Frozen Fours. I think Michigan's been to like 10 Frozen Fours since '97. That's ridiculous.
Does your dad not count the Fab Five then? Or was he not watching sports back then?
Wait, when was
Fab Five would be 92, 91,
Oh,
93?
that's true. Well, after 97.
Oh, after
97. Before 97, obviously very different. But after 97. But
no, I would agree.
Yeah, crazy.
They ran into a buzzsaw in Villanova, and Dante DiVincenzo, Louisville, Peyton Siva, and Russ Smith were just a different breed, man. Those guys were just
still hate that. Yeah.
But
still hate that ginger DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo is the only ginger I don't like in this world, but I really don't like him.
And then obviously I thought 2021 Michigan had a good chance of winning the national championship, but then as I watched Baylor, I was like, Michigan was going to get killed by Baylor regardless. If they got there, I thought they had a chance against Gonzaga, but Baylor, there's no way they were beating them. But this year, because I watched the Duke game and the way they competed and how we shot so bad, gives me some confidence going into if we were to play them. But Arizona, though, I don't know about that one yet. But yes, I would agree with you.
That's fair. Let's get into question of the day.
Question of the day. I'm not gonna lie, Nate. I was really I thought this could get brought up by you, and I was really hoping it didn't, and it did not. So I'm pumped.
Good.
All right.
Okay.
Salt Athletic official sponsor is here at the National Soccer Network. Use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off of that #1 smell-proof cleat bag that 100% works. Scan that QR code on your screen or visit saltathletic.com today. But this is question. I'm not gonna lie, the whole setup here just got to stretch differently. Will Tarek Skubal get a third straight Cy Young?
It is unprecedented the fact that
players
last year, the only two. Yeah, you're right. It's so rare. It's so rare to have multiple Cy Youngs, right? But the last year was the most inconceivable season from Tarek Skubal because we all talked about it in the sports talk realms on the radio and everywhere else, even in the early games doing play-by-play, when we were only a few games into the season, where we talked about how it is realistic to expect Tarek Skubal to take a little bit of a step back. right? Like every now and
They're
again,
so
you'll get
good.
a pitcher who just has an unbelievable season that you're like, there's just no way. There's no way he
Yep.
tops those numbers. There's no way he does equally as good the second time around. That's just not how this game works. He follows it up with a better season than what he had previously and is end up being named the Cy Young. So, in the name of history repeating itself, we'll run this back the same exact way I did, because the safe thing is to say, no, he will not win a third Cy Young. I don't believe he will win a third Cy Young. I think he'll still be very good. I think he'll still be very effective. I don't see him putting up the same exact numbers he did last year. I hope he proves me wrong. I hope the league doesn't figure him out. Most notably, I hope there aren't any injuries. I almost don't want to say that out loud because of how superstitious I am, but that is pitching in 2026. That's just how it goes. Like, you are one bad pitch. You are one bad pitch away from an elbow or a shoulder or something else happening. So of all the different possibilities and all the different pitches and everything that could go down this year, I'm going to say no. Probably he doesn't win a third straight, but then again, I never thought he would win a second straight in the first place, but he did so. And so I'm going to say no on this. I think that's a comfortable decision there, but who knows? He could shock us all again.
I think he does.
No.
There's one reason.
Okay.
There's one reason.
Money.
Contract year for the man. And he's going to want his money. He's going to want to prove. I think he may have seen my TikToks of how I'm just kidding. He has definitely not. But
he might have.
I think that he's had such a sidebar off season, I guess, such a side distraction off season, I guess, with the USA team and with the whole arbitration thing, and then everyone's still pissed off about Game 5 of the Mariners game. I think he's just going to be locked in, and I think he's just going to be happy to finally play baseball and I think prove everyone wrong again. And I think the only thing that I think is stopping him from winning a third one is maybe like the voters are like, he's already won 2. We got to give it to somebody else. Or maybe they're like, you know what? I want to see history in my lifetime. Let's give it to him for a third time.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I think he's going to win it, which is weird coming from me.
Well, when he pitches pissed off, he tends to do pretty well. I will say this, it is funny you bring up the give it to someone else thing, because I feel like we've seen that before in sports. Like, it was that same way with MJ when he was playing. People are like, well, what if Karl Malone? We all knew goddamn well that MJ was the best player in the league any year he was in the league. But people want to get cute and they want to start considering other people because, well, why would we give it to the same guy? It's like, I definitely see that. But no, man, I mean, he's gonna be eager to prove himself at whatever that looks like, and really kind of demand the money that I think it is he deserves. I think he's gonna have a great year. I just think it's inconceivable to think that he could win a third straight, but let's not downplay what he already has done in terms of the numbers and the stuff that he's put up. And you're right. And I hope he uses that as inspiration, because people have been hard on him. I mean, even the people in Detroit, which is like, it's wild to think you win 2 Cy Youngs, and yeah, we got Ryan over here calling him a crybaby. But that's how sports media works. That's how Twitter and Reddit and all those other things work. So I certainly hope, and maybe this is a little reverse psychology from the Detroit fan base trying to get him pissed off so that he goes out and shoves. But no, I think he's going to have another great year. But third straight would be inconceivable, and to do it with JV being right behind you in the rotation, that I agree with your point about now is the time to go out and win a World Series. Now is the time to strike when the iron's hot for this Detroit Tigers team, and so it's very important.
The only thing that scares me about the Tigers is, how when AJ Hinch was asked, oh, well, what'd you tell Tarek after he got his arbitration case, that AJ Hinch's response was, want to go out and win a division and maybe a World Series? I'm like, oh my, just say you want to. Let's go out and win a World Series. Don't set the bar so low. But
yep, exactly. But that wraps up episode 257. As always, we appreciate you guys dropping back in. 258 coming up tomorrow. You can keep it locked on social media at National Soccer Network or Sports Nation TV. That's sports with a Z. And until we talk to you guys bright and early tomorrow, this has been Inside the Game.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wenger bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.